Hare Krishna. Just give me 1 second. Hare Krishna devotees, welcome once again to our weekly midweek program. On behalf of ISKCON of Atlanta, I'd like to thank each and every one of you for joining us once again, and also to all of our listeners and watchers who are watching on a weekly basis and following our series on the 9 processes of bhakti. Once again, we are extremely honored to have Her Grace Gita Mataji, a long-standing member of our community here in ISKCON Atlanta. Mataji is a disciple of His Holiness Gopal Krishna Maharaj and has been serving in many capacities over the many years. Mataji is responsible for many of our Harinam initiatives, book distribution, and currently preaches very, very nicely in North Atlanta and enlightens many people, not just in Atlanta, but around the country on different spiritual topics. We're very grateful to Her Grace Gita Mataji for bestowing her mercy and her association with us today. Today we'll be covering Sakhyam in part 8, being a friend of the Lord. We'll have our class now by Mataji, and at the end we'll have a few important announcements, so please stay tuned towards the end. So without further ado, over to you, Gita Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Hare Krishna. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. First of all, welcome to all of you, and thank you for giving me this opportunity. It's one of those very beautiful verses from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 7, Chapter 5, verse 23. And one of the 9 processes of devotional service is going to be discussed today. We are almost towards the end of the 9 processes. Today we're going to talk about the 8th topic, which is Sakhyam. And Sakhyam is actually friendship with Krishna, friendship with the Supreme Lord. And important to understand is that friendship is the key aspect of Krishna Bhakti. Very, very important. I'm not sure how many of you have read the purport to this beautiful verse from Srimad Bhagavatam, where Srila Prabhupada very nicely explains Sakhyam. He says, in regard to worshipping the Lord as a friend, the Agastya Samhita states that a devotee engaged in performing devotional service by Shravanam and Kirtanam sometimes want to see the Lord personally, and for this purpose, he resides in the temple. Elsewhere, there is this statement, O my Lord, Supreme Personality and eternal friend, although you are full of bliss and knowledge, you have become the friend of the residents of Vrindavan. How fortunate are these devotees? And Srila Prabhupada continues, he says, in this statement, the word friend is specifically used to indicate intense love. Friendship, therefore, is better than servitude. Once again, friendship, therefore, is better than servitude. In the stage above Dasya Ras, the devotee accepts the Supreme Personality of Godhead as a friend. This is not at all astonishing, for when a devotee is pure in heart, the opulence of his worship of the deity diminishes as spontaneous love for the personality of Godhead is manifested. In this regard, Sridhar Swami mentions Sridham Vipra, who expressed to himself his feelings of obligation, thinking, life after life, may I be connected with Krishna in this friendly attitude. This is what Srila Prabhupada has written about Sakhyam in the purport of this verse. And while I was reading this paragraph, I noticed that Srila Prabhupada has mentioned, about Sakhyam, the word friend or friendly or friendship 7 times in just this small paragraph. So, friendship with the Lord immediately brings to our mind a very, very pure and famous devotee, and that is Arjuna. He attained perfection just by this one limb of devotional service. We also think about cowherd boys of Vrindavan, the Gopas, who we call them Gopas. So, Srila Prabhupada in his purport says that friendship is better than servitude. But we can reach to the level of friendship only through servitude. Last week we heard about Dasyam, serving the Lord, being the eternal servant of the Supreme Lord. So when we serve the Supreme Lord, then gradually we can come to the level of friendship. So what does it mean being friendly with Krishna? Important to understand, because this is one rasa which, according to Srila Prabhupada, is as important as the other 8 processes of devotional service. Now, it's not easy, to become friends with Krishna. It's not like the friendships we make in this material world, hi, what's up? Hi, how are you? Or we make friends on WhatsApp or, I don't know, Instagram, Facebook, or whatever it may be. No, it's not easy. It's not that we can send a friend request to Krishna and he will confirm it. No. So, how can we devotees practice friendship with Krishna? It might be perplexing, it might be a little scary thought that how can I be a friend of Krishna? How do I practice this? Best way is to follow the acharyas. In Nectar of Devotion, Srila Rupa Goswami, he has outlined 64 items of sadhana bhakti. And it pertains to performing devotional service, following the rules and regulations given by Guru and Shastra and the sadhus. So it is just a process that needs to be practiced constantly. And the later on we will see how which is that item out of these 64 that pertains to Sakhyam, the Sakhyaras. In fact, when we talk about Krishna's friends, those who have friendship with Krishna, like Arjuna or the cowherd boys, it's important to understand that their friendship is on the level of prema bhakti, love, right? But in the beginning, when we are trying to build that relationship with Krishna in a friendly manner, it's going to be on the level of sadhana bhakti. Right? So, what are the guidelines for devotees like us to become a friend of Krishna? So, among the 64 items listed in Nectar of Devotion, the 48th item is listed as devotional service in friendship with the Lord. So, to be able to be friends with Krishna, to have that Sakhyam Bhav, important to understand that there are 2 categories to this. So Sakhyam is divided into 2. One, Srila Prabhupada says, one is a confidential servant and the other is the well-wisher. There's a very beautiful verse which Srila Prabhupada quotes, which says, Vishwasu mitra vritischa Sakhyam dvi vidham iritam. Dvi vidham means 2 categories. Dvi means 2. So one is Vishwas, which is very strong faith, which means staunch faith in Krishna. And the other is Mitra, which is friendship. So these are the 2 categories. Now, the question may arise, how does this relate to us as devotees at the level that we are right now? So, Vishwas, which is staunch faith in Krishna, actually means to act as a servant of Krishna and with confidence. It's not like, like a neophyte where the faith is soft and pliable, it can be changed. No, it has to be staunch faith with confidence that Krishna is my benefactor. This we have learned in the Bhagavad Gita already, chapter 5, the very last verse, right? So This is the mood in which we engage in devotional service in the Sakhya Bhav, which is staunch faith that Krishna is my benefactor. And that staunch faith is required because he is our real well wisher, right? Any well wishes that we may have in this material world are all temporary. Whereas Krishna, situated in our hearts as the Paramatma, as the super soul, is there always. It doesn't matter in which body we go into, it doesn't matter whether we are in the lowest species of life or in the human form or any form, he always accompanies us because he is our benefactor, he is our well wisher. So in that mood we perform devotional service, that he is our real well wisher. And then if we have that staunch faith, then it behooves us to follow the instructions that he has given us in the Bhagavad Gita. We have his instructions in Srimad Bhagavatam. And when he came 540 years ago as Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he also has given us instructions in Chaitanya Charitamrita. So if we follow his instructions, following the rules and regulations, and also depending on him, that is something that most people struggle with in this material world. How can I give the my life to the Lord? How? Because then I will have no control over my life. And we are so used to being controllers. We want to control everything. We want to control the body, which we are unable to control. We want to control old age. We cannot control that. We want to control disease. We cannot do that. And we don't want to die, but then that also is also not under our control. We want to control the spouse and the children and the friends and the family and the colleagues. So the list just keeps going on and on. So until and unless we let go, like Draupadi, right? She tried to depend on herself when she was being disrobed. But until and unless she let her hands up in the air and said, Govinda, please help me, that is when Krishna came to help. So we need to depend on him and serve him to the best of our ability, whatever our capacity is, whatever our situation is. If we can serve with that confidence, with that staunch faith, systematically following the rules and regulations, then we will come to that stage where we will have a friendly relationship with Krishna, which will be on the Prema Bhakti platform and not just Sadhana Bhakti platform, right? And this also will happen only when Krishna desires. It is up to his will. We sincerely endeavor, we seriously follow the spiritual path, we follow Krishna consciousness, we follow instructions of Guru, Srila Prabhupada, Acharyas, Krishna, and then leave it to Krishna, whatever he decides, because he is the ultimate authority. He is the sanctioner. He is our benefactor, our well-wisher. He's a controller. He's our guide, right? So this is what is actually given in chapter 5 of Bhagavad Gita, verse 29. Bhoktaram yagna tapasam sarva lokam maheshwara suhridam sarvabhuta suhridam. He is our benefactor. He is our well-wisher. In fact, Draupadi, she considered Krishna as her friend. See, Pandavas, Queen Kunti, Draupadi herself, they all went through so many tribulations, right? We have heard the story of Mahabharata, and one after another they were going through so many problems, so many sufferings and miseries. Prabhupada says spiritual life is not a bed of roses. Just like they say, marriage is not a bed of roses. Yes, in the beginning, for a little while it is, but then afterwards, It is not. Spiritual life is not casual. It is not a bed of roses. There are a lot of challenges. So one may say, but I have come to Krishna consciousness. I'm trying to develop some rasa with the Lord, maybe it is Vatsalya or whichever rasa, or Dasya ras, I want to serve the Lord in that mood. Sure, but the challenges will come. Why? So that these challenges can help us to progress on the spiritual path, right? And also, Krishna wants to see how strong is our faith. A little suffering, do we say, oh no, no more Krishna consciousness, it's too much trouble. I'm I remember many years ago in Danwoodi we were preaching, and a couple used to come to the class. This was, I think, in the 90s, and they came maybe for a year or two. And then the wife one day came to me and she said, I don't think I want to attend the class anymore. So we were surprised. I said, what happened? And she said, well, I have been chanting 16 rounds for 1 year and still my sufferings are not going away. I was hoping that everything will be hunky dory, everything will be fine. There'll be no more sufferings, So looks like Krishna is not listening to my chanting or whatever it is. So I know these challenges will be there because Krishna wants to test our faith. How strong is it? Is it very, very strong that it cannot be shaken by anything? In fact, Draupadi in the Mahabharat, she says, Pratikna tava Govinda name bhakta pranashyati. That Name Bhakta Pranashati reminds us of Bhagavad Gita, right? Krishna tells Arjuna to declare it boldly that my devotee will never perish. So, what is the prayer of Draupadi? She says, my dear Govinda, your promise is that your devotee will never perish. And she said, I believe it. I believe in that statement completely. And I just simply remember that statement and your promise, and thus I live. This is that strong faith. It doesn't matter how many sufferings or tribulations come, but Krishna, you are my friend, and I know that I will not be vanquished because I have surrendered unto you. Right? So Draupadi, she was not bewildered or disappointed or angry. No, she was very, very peaceful and calm because she believed in the statement of Krishna. Talking about bewilderment, disappointment, and anger, I remember hearing this story one time. And this is not a story, this is true. This is what had happened many, many years ago. So there was this devotee, a devotee couple, and their son was graduating from high school. And before the graduation, it's kind of a custom that, we give a gift to the one who is graduating, So the father, who was a devotee, he, asked his son that, okay, next week you're going to be graduating. What would you like me to give you as a gift? Nowadays it's important to find out rather than just give a gift and then get a frown in return. Oh, I didn't want this gift. Why did you give me this gift? I wanted this or this or whatever. Just like my grandson, he always tells me what gift he wants for his birthday, for Christmas, or whatever it is, right? The shopping list is ready so that there's no disappointment. So the son was very happy. He said, oh, yes, Dad, actually, I would like a car, a new car, brand new car. So the father said, okay, let's go to the dealer and you choose the car that you want, and as a gift for you. So they went to the dealership and he chose a red Ford Mustang. And he said, this is the car I want. So dad said, okay. So this boy was so excited. He was waiting for his graduation. So, he can get that red car, his dream car. The day arrived. The boy graduated. It was a beautiful ceremony. But the boy was very anxious to get back home because he wanted to sit in his car and go for a long drive with his friends. So as soon as they reached home after graduation ceremony, he looked, there was no car in the driveway. He opened the garage, there was no car in the driveway. And he was like, what? Did my father fool me or something? Where is my gift? He didn't say anything. But as soon as he came in the living room, the father gave him a small package which was gift wrapped. And he said, son, this is your graduation gift. Oh, this boy was furious. Obviously, a Ford Mustang cannot get into this small package. So, and it felt heavy. So he was so upset, so angry, and so disappointed. He took the gift and he flung it across the room, and he just walked away. He was so angry and he never came back. So the father was, what could he do? The son is gone. Then 10 years passed by. And this boy, now he was a young man, mature, and he received a call from his mother stating that your father has left his body. So by now, this boy, all his anger he had kind of cooled down a little bit, quite a bit, I would say. And so he came for the funeral. And he still remembered the anger from 10 years ago. So his mother said that before your father died, he actually kept this gift for you as it was wrapped. And he said, after my death, please give it to our son once again. And so now the boy was kind of more mature. So he ripped open the gift wrap, and guess what was there? It was Bhagavad Gita as it is. That was the gift. So he thought, what is so important in this Bhagavad Gita that my father insisted on me having it? Let me read it. So as he turned the first page, what did he find? There was a check. The check for the car was inside the Bhagavad Gita. That means his gift was there 10 years ago. All he had to do was unwrap the gift, open the book, and he would have got his car. But because of that bewilderment and anger and disappointment, he missed that. Then he realized the importance of Bhagavad Gita. Right? The father was trying to be a friend to his son. He wanted him not only to get academic knowledge, but also spiritual knowledge at the same time. So here, Draupadi was not bewildered at all. She was not disappointed with all the sufferings one after another. Why? Because she had staunch faith in Krishna. She knew that Krishna will protect us no matter what. She was a perfect devotee. She was actually an associate of the Supreme Lord. So how can we equate her position and our position? We cannot, right? Even though her example is coming here, but it's important to understand that just to participate in the pastimes of Lord Krishna, she had come down to the level of sadhana bhakti, even though she was on the level of prema bhakti. So Sakhyam, that rasa is very, very important. This kind of, to come to the stage of Sakhyam, it is important to have this kind of vishwas, this strong faith that Krishna is my benefactor. And this actually, the faith is that this will continue forever. It is eternal. All these 9 processes given to us by Prahlad Maharaj, they are eternal. They will continue. It is not that when devotees reach the spiritual world, they'll do something else. No. I remember one time a devotee told me that I love children. Who doesn't love children? Everybody loves children. She said, but I just love children. And when I go to Goloka, I want to see children there. It is not about what we want in Goloka. It is what Krishna wants in Goloka. Krishna is the enjoyer. He is the ultimate controller. To be in Goloka Vrindavan, the only purpose is to please Krishna, to satisfy his desires. Prabhupada says that even if one has a tinge, just a tinge of desire to enjoy, one cannot go back to Godhead. Right? So this spirit of friendship, it is based on Vishwas. And Prabhupada says that this gradually intensifies with our sadhana bhakti, following the rules and regulations from the scriptures in the association of devotees. Then gradually it will intensify. Then we can become a confidential servant of Krishna. This is the first type of Sakhyam. What? To become the confidential servant of Krishna. Then, when we serve Krishna favorably, we will get into the friendly mood. It should not be, oh, I chanted 16 rounds just yesterday. Do I have to do it again today? No. It has to be very favorable. And then that along with this favorable devotional service, there still should be that staunch faith continuing with us, that Krishna is our benefactor. This is considered Sakhyam. Even though we are on the stage of sadhana bhakti, it is still considered Sakhyam, that mood of friendship. Right? And the second type is to become the well-wisher of Krishna. Now, question may arise, how can we become well-wishers of Krishna, right? In Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says in the 18th chapter that anyone who preaches my glories is most dear to me. That is his wish. He wants everyone to become Krishna conscious. And such a devotee who spreads the knowledge of Krishna is very, very dear to Krishna. And that is Mitra. So we talked about Vishwas and Mitra. So far we talked about Vishwas. Now we're talking about Mitra, which is closer friendship. In that position, the devotee becomes Krishna's well-wisher. So in first type, he considers Krishna as his well-wisher. And in the second type, devotee starts thinking that oneself to be Krishna's well-wisher. Even though Krishna is not dependent on anybody, he is self-sufficient. He doesn't need anything. He doesn't need anybody. But he gives us an opportunity to practice devotional service. He gives us an opportunity so we can serve him in these different rasas. He gives us an opportunity to spread Krishna consciousness, and that pleases him a lot. In fact, that pleases the spiritual master also. Just broadcasting the knowledge of Krishna. And then we become the well-wisher of Krishna. And also to explain to others that Krishna is the well-wisher of everyone. Srila Prabhupada says that when we speak about Vishwas or staunch faith, that means the faith is not soft, it is not pliable, it is not changeable. In the beginning stages, the devotee has Shraddha, faith, right? That the early stages, right? Like Rupa Goswami says, Adau Shraddha, Tatha Sadhu Sangha, Bhajana Kriya Anartha Nivriti. That is how the process is. That first we have that basic faith that there is a Supreme Lord and his name is Krishna. And then We start doing sadhu sangha. We start associating with like-minded people, with devotees, with saintly personalities. When we do that sadhu sangha, then we get into the practice of bhajana kriya. We start practicing sadhana bhakti. And when we do that, then there is anartha nivriti. All the unwanted things from the heart are removed, right? So when this shraddha gradually becomes very strong, firm, staunch, right? Then in that stage of Vishwas, one feels the state of friendship with Krishna. That's Sakhyam. So, in that, a glimpse of Sakhya Ras can be seen in devotional service. Now, we are talking about Sakhyam, Sakhyam, Sakhyam today, right? That is the topic of discussion today. So, Sakhyam means Sakha, a friend. So, there are divisions of Krishna's friends, right? They are called Sakhas. There are those who are Nitya Siddhas, who are eternally perfect, eternally liberated. And then there are those that are sadhana siddhas, or they are also called devatas. Actually, Prabhupada explains that formerly they were demigods, but now they have been elevated to the stage of perfection through sadhana bhakti. And we have heard so many stories from Srimad Bhagavatam about friends of Krishna, all those beautiful pastimes, how he played with the sakhas, how he ate lunch with them, how he played different games with them, how he saved them from different demons, etc. We've heard a lot. So there are different friends of Krishna in Dwarka and different sakhas in Vrindavan, in Vrajadham. In Vrajadham, there are four kinds of sakhas that Krishna has. So, first type is you can say a well-wisher friend. That well-wisher friend is older than Krishna. Then there are just friends, sakhas, who are younger than Krishna and they are very attached to Krishna. Then there are confidential friends that are about Krishna's age, and they actually are friends on the equal level, where they can hit Krishna, climb on his shoulders and, roll him, or play some games with him, or wrestle with him. That is of the same level, equal level. Then the fourth kind is intimate friends of Krishna. They are most confidential and exalted friends. In Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 10, chapter 12 and verse 11, there is a talk about how fortunate are these cowherd boys. They get to play with Krishna on equal level. They don't even realize that Krishna is the Supreme Lord. Krishna doesn't want them to realize that, because if they would realize that, then how would they play with him? Then they would just start touching his feet and doing his arati and doing mangal arati and all that, right? No, Krishna didn't want that. He wanted to relish that sakhyam, that rasa, to relish that friendship with his friends. And they get to play. And Prabhupada says this is unimaginable, right? What kind of piety these cowherd boys have accumulated to be Krishna's cowherd friends. And now they have got an opportunity to play with Krishna. So, glorification of these cowherd boys is Sakhya Bhav. That is that friendship rasa. Right? Sakhyam with the Lord, friendship with the Lord. We can think of so many examples, like I already mentioned Arjuna, the Pandavas, all the brothers, Draupadi. We have heard about Sudama, right? And of course, the cowherd boys. Sudama, what a beautiful pastime. How close they were. Such a beautiful bhav of Sakhyam. We've heard this beautiful pastime where Sudama, he is so poor and he is so devoted, even though that Sakhyam bhav is there, but still he is He's so peaceful and so happy, even though he's so poor. But he goes to Dwarka because his wife wants him to go and get a favor from his friend Krishna. Because look, your friend is Dwarkadhish. He's the king of Dwarka. You know, he has so much opulence. I'm sure he can give you a little bit for us. You know, look, we are suffering. The children have no food to eat. But what did Sudama do? He didn't do business with Krishna just because he's a friend. In the material world, friendship is actually like a business deal. We want to be friends. If we are just on the material platform, we want friends who come with benefits. You know, that I can get something out of this person. Okay, I want to be friends with this person, but why? What is in it for me? What will I get from this friendship? But here, Sudama, even though his wife had sent him for a purpose, when he met Krishna, he did not ask him anything. Was there any need to ask? No. Krishna, he knew everything, he knows everything. And when Sudama came back home, what did he see? He got everything that his wife wanted. In fact, much, much, much more. Right? So, Prabhupada, he gives very nice in the purport to this verse that we have taken today, 7th canto, chapter 5, verse 23, the sum and substance of this Sakhyam Bhav, this one of the limbs of devotional service, one of the 9 processes of devotional service, right? This is the essence, you can say the essence of sadhana bhakti. Srila Prabhupada says that here in this material world, we have friendship, you know, we have that Sakhya Bhav, but it is an imitation. It is contaminated. It is tinged with selfishness, right? Father, spouse, children, all this, all these relationships, there is always that bhav is there. What is in it for me in this relationship? What can I get out of this relationship? But in the spiritual world, that's not the case. The real father is Krishna. So when we establish our relationship with Krishna, then there is perfection. And Prabhupada says we must give up this imitation. Because even in Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says that this material world is a perverted reflection of the spiritual world, right? A thought came to my mind about, you know, when little kids, you know, like especially little girls, you know, they want to imitate their mother. They want to cook. Can the mother allow that little 7 or 8-year-old girl to stand in front of the stove and start cooking? No. What does she give? An imitation. Will give a doll house or a kitchen set, which has, you know, small, you know, pans and pots and everything, and a little stove, you know, so that the child can pretend to cook. It's an imitation. That's not the real thing. So Prabhupada says we must give up this imitation. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he says that the real father is Krishna. If we will accept him, we will get full protection. If we accept Krishna as our husband, there will be no divorce. If we accept Krishna as a friend, he will give us everything that is necessary for us to progress on the spiritual path. So Sakhyam, this rasa, is one of the 9 processes of devotional service. And Srila Prabhupada says that if we can perfect even one of these 9 processes, just one, we can get liberated. And it all starts with Shravanam, Kirtanam Vishnu, Smaranam Padasevanam, Archanam Vandanam Dasyam, Sakhyam Atma Nivedanam. It starts with Shravanam and it ends with Atma Nivedanam. So Shravanam will gradually lead us to Kirtanam, which will help us to do Smaranam of Vishnu, and then the whole process will just continue, and finally it will end in Atma Nivedana. But that doesn't mean that that's the end of the story. No. After a devotee reaches Atma Nivedana, that devotee is still continuing all the 9 processes, is still doing Shravanam, is still doing Kirtanam, is still remembering the Lord, worshiping, praying, right? Being an eternal servant, everything, everything indeed. So today's topic is Sakhyam, and this is all. I guess its time is up. I've been speaking for 40 minutes, so I will end now. Prabhupada says after 35 to 40 minutes, the attention span is kind of lost. So I don't want, devotees, to the mind to leave this room and go. So if there are any questions or comments, I don't know if there's time for questions.
Hare Krishna Mataji, thank you so much for such a beautiful class on this topic today.
Thank you.
As you said, we'll open up for questions right now. If anyone would like to ask a question, please raise your hand and we'll be able to spotlight you and you can ask your question. We already have one person who is ready to ask a question, her Grace Champakalata Saki Dasi. Mataji, you can go ahead and ask.
Dandavat Pranam. Thank you so much for such an enlivening class. I learned so much new today. I just have a question, Mataji, that how do we develop our relationship with the Lord? Because sometimes I personally feel so incapable and so like that I do not have those qualities or even eligibility or anything to even develop any kind of relationship with the Lord. So if you can help me a little bit. Thank you so much.
Yes, very important question. And we all are in the same boat. You're not alone. We are all in the same boat. Actually, Srila Prabhupada has given us a very beautiful, simple process. And he starts off with strong morning program, which means we do Mangalarti in the morning, we do the prayers to the spiritual master, Narshinga prayer, Tulasi Arti, and then we chant our rounds attentively. That is the key. Prabhupada says 99% of our progress in spiritual life depends on chanting attentively. So when we chant attentively, then everything else will fall in place. And he has given a system wherein we accept a bona fide spiritual master and we get trained. You see, everything is like, it's like a whole package. I remember my husband gives a very nice example that if I want to load Windows on my computer, right? In olden days, my husband and I, we are very, very old. So in our days, those, decades ago, to put Windows or whatever software on our computer, there used to be CDs, like 6 or 7 CDs we would get. So there's a process. We have to put in CD number 1, then 2 and 3. It cannot be random. I feel like putting CD number 7 first. No, it doesn't work. So there is a process just to get even Windows on our computer. So also in Krishna consciousness, there is a process. So when we get the training from the spiritual master and in association of devotees, that's very, very important, because the devotees, I always give this example that supposing I'm driving on the highway and I have a cop sitting next to me in the car. Will I speed? I will not speed. Why? Because the cop is sitting next to me. So when we have association of devotees, then we are on the right track. When we are alone, then we say, oh, no one is watching, I can do whatever I want. So association of devotees, training, following the process of Srila Prabhupada. And then when Krishna sees our endeavor, sincere endeavor, then he will shower the mercy, and then it will be possible for us to progress. And this, the rasas which are there, they are something that we cannot meditate on. They come naturally. It's not that, oh, you know what, I just want to be in Madhurya Ras. It doesn't work like that. Okay, it's a process.
Thank you so much, Mataji. Mataji, I hope Gita Mataji has answered your question. We'll move on. We have someone else who would like to ask a question, Aditi Lata Devi Dasi. Mataji, you may unmute yourself and you may ask your question.
Hare Krishna Mataji.
Hare
Please
Krishna.
accept my humble obeisances. All
Thank
glories to
you.
you gave wonderful lecture, Mataji. I'm
Thank you.
so thankful to you for this wonderful lecture. I have one doubt, Mataji. So, Mataji, in spiritual world, the age, people don't age. I mean, the beings, they don't age, right? So there is no time there as we have in our material world. So how can we understand the concept that, the Sakya Ras is in different level, as you mentioned. So someone is senior, someone is, having this, someone is same age. So how do we understand that, Mataji?
So you're right. In the spiritual world, there is no age factor at all. First of all, we've learned from Bhagavad Gita that we are not this body which actually ages. The soul is the same. Whenever someone, I remember a little girl, 5 or 6 year old girl, asked my husband, "How old are you?" And he said, "Same age as you." And she was bewildered because he was talking on the soul level, right? Because all souls, they are the same age. We are eternal. There's no age, right? It's the body that has the age. So in the spiritual world, there is no age factor at all. And the qualification to go to the spiritual world is that we have to be a pakka devotee, which means we are completely purified and we are eligible to enter there. That means we have come to a stage where our only focus is to please Krishna. And not only that, to please Krishna along with everyone else, just like the gopis and the manjaris. What are they doing? The manjaris are helping the gopis who are helping Srimati Radharani to serve Krishna. Manjaris are not thinking, "Oh, I am not at that level. Why am I not serving like the gopis?" Or the gopis are not thinking, "Why Radharani has to serve Krishna? We want to serve him directly." No, that whole mood is totally different. There is no competition, like we have in this material world. "Oh, that one has made garland for Gaurnitai. I want to make for Radha Krishna." That over here, that bhava is contaminated because this competition to show that I'm better than the other. But in the spiritual world, that is not there. That is not there at all. So we have to come to that level of purification where when we go to Goloka Vrindavan, the only focus is to please Krishna. Whatever it may take. If it takes that we help other devotees to help Krishna or to serve Krishna or whatever it may be. So there's no age factor at all. Is that okay?
Yes, Mataji. So we do not, there is no competition there. Here I understand it's a material type of competition, but there also everyone is not trying to compete to get attention of Krishna and Radharani, no?
No, Prabhupada says that in spiritual world, there may be spiritual competition, but one devotee is very happy when the other devotee is able to serve better. It is the opposite here. If someone is serving better than us, then that brings about envy. But that is not there in the spiritual world. So if one devotee is doing such a wonderful service, then the other devotees are ecstatic. They are happy that, "Oh, such and such devotee was able to make such a beautiful garland for Krishna that he was so pleased." So that is the mood over there.
Okay, got it, Mataji. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Haribol Mataji. Is there anyone else who would like to ask a question? All right, I had a quick question for you, Mataji.
Sure.
In light of all the other processes of bhakti, we've heard this is the 8th process that we're hearing about on this series. Sakhyam, we're always told that Krishna is our best friend. Sometimes it's difficult for us to remember that Krishna is always with us and that he is our friend and he sees everything. I think a lot of people, especially in the modern world, we get so caught up with that, oh, you know, I may do something wrong or do something that's not ideal. But we kind of forget that, you know, Krishna, as a friend, he can also be understanding. Could you enlighten us a bit on like what I've just spoken about in terms of Krishna being that friend who's both understanding and forgiving, but
Yes.
always there for you as well?
Yeah, Srila Prabhupada says, just imagine that Krishna is so merciful and compassionate. He's coming with us in every body. Whichever body we take, he is with us. He doesn't say, oh no, you have gone in the body of a reptile. I cannot come there with you. How can I be inside the body of a reptile or an insect? No, he's very merciful. In chapter 15 of Bhagavad Gita, verse 15, Krishna says, Sarvasya chaham hridi sanivishto matah smritir jnanam apohanam cha. Vedescha ved aham vedayo vedantaprit vedavid eva chaham. He says, I am situated in everyone's heart, and from me comes remembrance, knowledge, and forgetfulness. He says, I'm the compiler of the Vedas, and I am to be known from the Vedas. The purpose of him being situated in our heart is to help us, to guide us, to show us direction, to let us know what is right, what is wrong. But he will not enforce all that on us. We have to have the desire. We make the choice. We say, okay, actually, I don't want to do Krishna consciousness anymore. I just want to go back into the material world. Krishna will say, Tathastu, sure, you want to forget me? You're welcome. He's not going to force us, right? I cannot put a gun on my husband's head and say, tell me you love me. Tell me you love me. No. Yeah, he might get scared and say, oh, yeah, I love you. I love you. But that is not real love, right? Krishna doesn't want to force us to love him. He is there in the heart to guide us, provided we are ready to take the guidance. And that's the most compassionate position he has taken, coming with us life after life after life, right? If we had to take care of someone even for a few weeks, we get tired, you know. Oh, come on, you're going on the wrong path. Come on the right path. Come. How long will we try? For some time and then give it up. Krishna doesn't give up on us. He is always there to guide us, provide. You know, in the Upanishads, there's this nice analogy given about two birds, right, on a tree. There's two green birds on the tree. One is enjoying the fruit and not looking at Krishna, while the other bird, which is Krishna, is just waiting for that bird to turn towards him. And as soon as the bird turns towards him, Krishna starts helping out. But we have to take the first step. Ye yatham ma prapadante tam sthathaiva bhajami. As we surrender unto him, he will reward us accordingly. Okay?
Thank you so much, Mataji. Do you have time for one more question? We have Achintya Devadas.
Mm-hmm.
Probably you can go ahead and unmute yourself and ask your question.
Hare Krishna Mataji, thank you so much for the wonderful lecture.
Hare Krishna.
A quick question. Now, we all realize that Krishna is within us, and in spite of that, as devotees, we commit a lot of anarthas. How can we develop this realization that Krishna is with us? And once we develop that, all those anarthas we will not commit.
Yes, Krishna says, Tesham satata yuktana bhajatam priti purvakam dadami buddhi yogam. Buddhi. He will give us the intelligence provided we do our part. He says, Priti purvakam, right? Bhajatam priti purvakam. So we need to worship Krishna with love and devotion. Then when he's pleased with us, he will give us the intelligence, and then we will be able to realize. So it's not up to us. It is not up to us. Even progress on the spiritual path, we can endeavor sincerely, but then the end result is in Krishna's hands. But if he sees that we are really worshiping him, we are following his instructions, we are following the instructions of the spiritual master, we are chanting attentively, we are reading Srila Prabhupada books, we are distributing this knowledge, we are eating only Krishna prasadam, we are following the rules and regulations, we are associating with devotees, we are doing seva in the temple. When he sees all these things, our sincerity, then he will help us. And you know, the 10 offenses towards chanting is already there. So when we are chanting, we should be conscious of those 10 offenses, that we do not commit any of those offenses. And the most important is the 11th offense, which is inattentive chanting. So if our chanting is inattentive, then we will tend to, you know, commit mistakes and offenses. Okay?
Thank you, Mataji.
You're welcome.
Thank you so much, Gita Mataji. It's always such a pleasure to hear from you. You're
Thank
always
you.
so enlightening, and you so expertly summarize all these complex points into simple format for all of us to understand. This is your second time on this platform, and we really look forward to hearing from you again on many different topics. And on behalf of all of us here, we'd just like to thank you once again. Thank you so much. Hare
Thank
Krishna.
you. Hare Krishna.
All right, dear devotees, we're just going to move on to the next part of our program. We have a few important announcements to make. Coming next week is the final part of our 9 processes of Bhakti series. We have the last process, Atma Nivedanam, fully surrendering unto the Lord. We're very honored to have His Grace Amarendra Prabhu. He's a world-renowned speaker, as many of you may know, who's going to be addressing us on this topic. It's going to be at the same time next week, Wednesday at 7 p.m. Coming on Sunday, we have a very special guest in His Holiness Bhakti Prema Swami, who is hailing all the way from Ujjain in India, and he will be addressing us on the topic of Haridas Thakur, and that program will begin at 7:30 p.m. We will also be having some kirtan and pre-leading the program, so just stay tuned to our social media accounts for details on this program and all our other programs coming up in the future. Coming up is our famous Panihati Festival, which is the namesake festival of our temple here in Atlanta. As many of you may know, due to world events, last year we had to take a break from this festival, but we're really excited to welcome you all back for this important festival. We have an entire day planned out with our famous chip rice, with lots of wonderful kirtan and association, and also some association from very special guests such as His Holiness Jayapataka Swami and Banu Swami, who is a member of our executive committee of the GBC. So just stay tuned to our social media accounts. Very soon we'll be releasing more information on on how you can help out, how you can attend, how you can partake. And we hope that all of you can somehow be a part of this amazing festival. And we're really, really happy to bring it back to our yearly roster of wonderful festivals. And we'd like to introduce a new segment of our community here in Atlanta, Kirtan Atlanta. A group of devotees and youth have come together to create this new initiative to put Kirtan front and center for many of us who sometimes we may hear Kirtan from around the world, but we are blessed to have some amazing Kirtanias and very talented singers in our community as well. The listening of Kirtan regularly is always prescribed in our scriptures and by Srila Prabhupada. So we're very excited to invite you all to please join us. We're going to be trying to keep this as a weekly occurrence. So currently we're going to be having it on Sundays from 6 p.m. Those who are comfortable to attend in person may do so. It will be in the temple room of ISKCON Atlanta, and we'll be starting at 6 p.m. Please also check us out on Instagram and Facebook. We have created new pages, and our YouTube page is coming along very nicely as well. So check us out, and we hope that you all can attend eventually, even if it's not very soon. Coming up, we have 2 auspicious festivals coming up. We have the Disappearance Day of Sri Baladev Vidyabhushan and Pandava Nirjal Ekadasi on June 21st. And as we mentioned before, we have Panihati happening on June 20th as well. As we mentioned before, ISKCON Atlanta is expanding at a rapid rate. We have many different initiatives that are going on, programs, kirtan. We have different series such as the 9 processes of Bhakti. We also repost all of our classes onto YouTube, and we have a lot of different content to help everyone immerse themselves in everything we are offering. So check out our Linktree page where through one click, you can access all of this information, including our website, and that'll help you easily see everything we are doing. And we'd like to request a few prayers. His Grace Nandasuta Prabhu, Her Grace Govardhan Leela Mataji, who is still recovering from bad health, and all the doctors who are fighting COVID-19 around the world, and anyone who we have forgotten to mention. So if we could all please join in chanting the Maha Mantra 3 times for the benefit of these devotees and everyone in the world who is currently in ailment. Hare Krishna, Krishna
Krishna,
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 Hare
Hare Hare,
Hare
Rama,
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 Rama
Hare Hare,
Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare.
Hare
Hare
Rama,
Rama, Rama
Hare
Rama,
Hare.
Hare Hare.
Hare
Hare Krishna, Krishna
Krishna,
Krishna, Hare Hare.
Hare
Hare Rama,
Rama,
Rama, Hare Hare. Shri Nrsimhadev Bhagavan Ki Jai. Thank you everyone once again for joining us for our midweek program. Don't forget about our Pani Hati festival that's coming up very soon, and also our Sunday program with His Grace Bhakti Premaswami. And also next week, we have the last part of the series with His Grace Amarendra Prabhu. Thank you all for joining us, and we hope you guys have a wonderful week. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Aji. Gita Mataji, Koti Koti Namrat Pranam, Hare Krishna, Srila Prabhupada, Srila Gurudev, Shri Radha Madan Mohan Ki Jai.
Hare Bol.